Hello, testing, testing, testing. Give me 2 minutes. I'll get the audio enabled. Okay.
बस wireless check करो. Can you hear? आप कुछ बोलिए.
Hello, mic testing. Hello. No, this is delayed. So this will
Okay, you can start. Or you can do testing, testing.
testing. Testing 1, 2, 3.
You're getting audio? So, okay, all good?
Let me test from.
No. Commentator audio. We have asked not to start the commentary. If you are okay, I'll start. Okay, so we'll start the commentator now.
Good morning and welcome to the second game of the Pacific for a double second game of the double headers between same thing. So this one, right? This one, right? So you press it once, right?
So this is
Mm-hmm.
this one. Still mute.
Out. That's an out ball. One. Bat. I think there was bat. Every time he says like.
And then a big press, it's on.
Okay.
You just have to remember that, otherwise you'll be cancelled.
Okay. Good morning and welcome to the Tollgate Farm Park as the Seattle Thunderbolts take on Silicon Valley Strikers in the second game of their doubleheader. We're already 2 overs down here. It's a third over in progress. The score is 6 without loss. As there was a close call being contested by the Silicon Valley Strikers team with the umpires, and the umpires in a bit of a conference. It's been a sedate start, and we did not have the streaming for the game yesterday. So between the doubleheaders, the Seattle Thunderbolts took the game yesterday to start their campaign for this year's minor league cricket, the premier domestic tournament, T20 tournament for the United States. The two batsmen of the crease are DP Singh Bajwa, Dilpreet Singh Bajwa, and Man Singh Nigade. Six without loss, and the bowler is Saurabh Netravalkar, someone who's been in the news, has played a prominent part in the Major League Cricket as well. A slight movement in the ball there, coming in and missing the leg stump. That's been called wide by the ball, quite rightly so. This wicket has been a responsive one. Yesterday we saw the wicket, the ball keeping low in some occasions. There was sufficient bounce to challenge the batsman. There was also a bit of turn. There was some deliveries that kept low. It was all happening So it's a wicket that the batters could not trust too much on their front foot. They had to play predominantly from the back foot, and when they did that, they had some purchase. So the score is 12 without loss. That wide ball eluding the batter as well as the wicketkeeper to go for a boundary. So welcome runs for the Thunderbolts. They are 12 without loss in the third over. Most importantly, no wickets lost yet. On the off stump, just pushed towards the cover. No damage done. DP, as he's known, Dilpreet Singh Bajwa, is a very cautious starter. Plays everything with a bit of a straight bat. Waits for the ball and the mistakes from the bowler. As Saurabh Netravalkar wants to come round the wicket, or should I say over the wicket. Once again, this time, as you can see, the exasperation writ large on the face of the batter. The inconsistent bounce once again causing a little bit of a problem. The last couple of balls were coming at a knee-high length, and this time the batter wanted to get on front foot, trusting that bounce, but this time the ball kicking up more than the expectation and catching at an awkward length. And that sows a lot of seeds of doubt in the minds of the batter. And this time, once again, it's at a knee-high length. This is really a challenging task for batters to get accustomed to this variable bounce here. Puts a lot of doubt in their mind. That's an outside edge, and the ball running down to the third man boundary as the fielder cleans it up. It's a single for the batter. That's the end of the over. At the end of 3, the score is 12 without loss. Pankaj Kumar Rao is the bowler from the far end from where we are sitting. His first over yielded just 3. He bowled pretty well yesterday. This has been a rather low-scoring venue, going by the few games that we have had last year and yesterday's game. A par score here would be around 120, 130, and hence it's important for the batters to capitalize on every possible opportunity for a run. Especially, you will see a lot of dabs and pushes for getting 1s and 2s. That shot out there by DP was exactly that, just a gentle push and picking up a single. That brings Man Singh in strike. Once again, trusting the back foot more than the front foot. And that gives a little bit of time, as this pitch has a little pace in it, but once a batter plays on the back foot, it gives a little time to adjust and trust their shots. Slight movement. It was bowled wide outside the off stump. Slight movement away from the batter. Probably held back a little, stopped after bouncing. And the batsman was committed into the shot a little too early, missing it. All ends up. This is the fourth game these two teams are playing at this venue. That's a bit of history there. Silicon Valley Strikers winning both of their outings last season, whereas Thunderbolts, with a completely new side this year, or largely new side this year compared to their title-winning side from last year, winning the last one yesterday. Silicon Valley Strikers. There's a quite brisk breeze across the ground. From the end that the bowler is bowling, the breeze is from his right hand side to the left. And that may aid some lateral movement here. And we have been seeing the ball moving, getting some outward movement for the bowler, for Pankaj, and some inward movement for Saurabh. Now this time the ball moving the other way around, and a little too much, missing the batter, wide called. The extras have been busy since morning today. 7 of them. Or should I say 8 of them now? Well, that was up in the air as the short mid-wicket fielder tried, gave a valiant attempt to grab it, but it dipped quite early in front of the fielder. A tough attempt, cannot be termed as a chance, but indications that the batter is getting a tad impatient, probably wanting to get on with things, trying to capitalize on the power play fielders being inside the circle. That's nice intensity out there by the Silicon Valley Strikers fielders. No run taken, and that's the end of the 4th over, and that's 14 without loss. So welcome back. It's the 5th over as this change in bowling the first time, and we're going to see a lot of slow and spin bowlers on this wicket. And they get a lot of value from this. And the first change is Srinivas Raghavan. Oh, that was up in the air in the covers. Once again, chance gone begging. A quite familiar side because strikers have had a bit of a catching issue yesterday too. A couple of chances dropped, which let the Seattle Thunderbolts capitalize to a score which eventually turned out to be a match-winning score of 131. Once again, this chance, pretty simple one, straightforward one, gone begging. Not the best of starts that Srini would have hoped for. Left-arm orthodox finger spinner. It's a nice loopy one that just invited the batter to reach out. That looped up to the go. How costly will that be? Only time will tell. That's been played through the covers and a couple of runs. Man Singh Nigade is a very, very experienced cricketer. Has had years of experience under his belt playing for Indian domestic in the Indian domestic circuit. Now this time played up in the air. That should be a simple catch. Shehan Jayasuriya, he won't drop much. That's a simple take. So Man Singh could not capitalize on the little life that he got. A couple of deliveries back, and that's the first wicket down for the Thunderbolts. There's a score of 17. And quite on cue, spinners into the attack immediately fetch a wicket. It's the end of 4.4 overs. It's 17 for 1. We'll take a break. So the new batter in is Jagrup Raina, a very familiar face in the Seattle Thunderbolt colors. Has been a consistent player and a fixture in the lineup since the first season. One of the very few members remaining in the squad from that title winning last year. Very key batter and he would fancy against the orthodox figures. This is that kind of wicket where reaching out and playing in front is fraught with risk. And this time around, this was again up in the air, slightly lobbed above that short square leg fielder who was looming there. And that gets Jagrup off the mark. We'll just say that that was a high risk shot out there, and that ends the 5th over, and the score is 18 for 1. The last over of the power play coming up, and another bowling change this time. It's Shehan Jayasuriya. Now that was a fast ball. Although Shehan bowls with a short lineup, that missed everybody, and it trickles down to the boundary. Doesn't go past the boundary line as captain Pranay Suri cleans it up. Couple of runs there. And once again, the extras column is busy since morning, and it continues to stack up runs. And now into double figures. So Shehan Jayasuriya, that was a fast ball bowled with slight slingy action. Now this time it's more of a conventional spin ball. And Jagrup doing well, reaching out, playing a defensive shot, a rarity in this format. But that's the kind of wicket as this one. Once again, trying to play a forward defensive shot, missing all ends up. Wicket-keeper does the job, and that's what Shehan Jayasuriya would do. Entice the batters into out of their comfort zone, trying to play much front, and that's high risk territory in this wicket, where things ball can come at variable pace and can be a bit unpredictable. Jayasuriya picked up 3 wickets yesterday. 3 very critical wickets. Pushed the Thunderballs top and probably middle order back till there was some rearguard action. And this time they fixed up the first wicket. Clean bowled, Jagrup Raina. Always handy bowler, Shehan Jayasuriya. A wily customer, has a lot of tricks up his bag. And this time, Jagrup trying to play late, probably a bit of an indecision in his mind, not trying to go front, missing all ends up, and the timber was disturbed behind him. So 20 for 2, a very similar story unfolding here for the Thunderbolts, losing a few quick wickets. 20 for 2. One more ball to go for the power play. Fantastic start from the Silicon Valley Strikers, I beg your pardon. Kept things tight. They haven't let the batters get away with anything besides the 10 extras. And if you take that out, the score is rather meager, 10 for 2. They would rue that they dropped a catch, but they've made Seattle Thunderbolts think differently. Clearly they want to counter the spin with a left-right combination. They first sent Jagrup Raina. In normal circumstances, they would have probably seen Yandev Chauhan, the more experienced top-order batter who played anchor innings yesterday, kind of gave a little bit of stability at one end. And today that's not the case. They're going with 2 left-handers. Jagrup trying to push things up, losing his wicket, and now it's Mehdi Hasan. The star from yesterday. It was an all-round performance, a brilliance from him yesterday to pick up the Player of the Match award, and that ends the power play. And it was a successful over from Shehan Jayasuriya, a maiden wicket, a very, very rare occurrence in T20 cricket. But that's the end of the power play. At the end of 6, it's 20 for 2. So 6 overs done, 20 for 2. Srinivas Raghavan starting with the second one. The spinners immediately having an impact on this game. 2 wickets gone for Thunderbolts, both to spinners. Dilpreet Singh Bajwa has a job in his hand. He's been rather slow, a strike rate of 28. But this is that kind of wicket where one player has to give that stability from one end. And again, that was a clear plumb in front of the stumps. An appeal from the bowler. Answered in the affirmative by the umpire, and that's the third wicket gone. I was just talking about Dilpreet Singh Bajwa and his need for him to stick in there, probably hold one end up. And loses his wicket there. That's the third wicket gone for Thunderbolts. Thunderbolts definitely have a lot of questions on their mind as Yaniv Chauhan walks in as the next batter. 20 for 3. The new batter in is Yaniv Chauhan, a very experienced hand, and the bowler Srinivas Raghavan, incidentally, is on a hat-trick here. Picked up a wicket in the last ball of his first over and one on the first ball of his second. That was a courageous switch hit by Ian. First up, a brave shot, but I said earlier as well, Ian comes with a lot of experience. Yes. And he's showing that. That was a straight statement made out there for the opposition that he's going to take the bull by the horns. Expansive shot first up, 4 runs. That's welcome 4 runs for the Thunderbolts. 24 for 3. That's a conventional push. Down to the long off. Ian Chauhan played a very stable and blemishless knock yesterday. His presence brought a sense of calm, sense of assurance, which helped batters like Harsh Thakur and later Mehdi Hassan to play 2 very critical innings, which eventually took the innings, which eventually helped them score about 91 runs of the last 10 overs. And they would need a very similar effort today out here, and I think the personnel who would have to do that is going to be pretty much these two. We don't have Harsh Thakur playing today, but we have the experience of Rishi Bhardwaj, who is in the side today. But the critical part is going to be the slow bowler, the spinners. Yesterday we saw not much runs came against them. It was the return of the pace bowlers towards the end, which saw a lot flurry of boundaries. But this wicket will have a lot of aid for the spinner, and once again a good finish to an over, which yielded a boundary somewhere in between. It's the end of 7. It's 25 for 3. A bit of a conference just before the start of the 8th over between Shehan and skipper Pranay Suri, and a few changes in the field as it was more like a swap of the fielders from the short side of the field on either side of the wicket. Oh, that was a cheeky one. That was a slight push towards behind the square, and the fielder tripping over there, which causes a misfield and giving an opportunity to the batters to come back for 2. Every run here is a nugget of gold. At the rate at which the Thunderbolts are going, they would appreciate those 2 runs. And this time, there's a loud appeal by the bowler and the fielder is closing in. Signal leg by clearly off the pad. The question is, how far outside was the batter? And where the impact was. And from the reactions there, clearly from the umpire, it was missing the leg stump. A slip in place now, a bit of pressure exerted on Mehdi Hassan. Mehdi again is a very experienced bloke, has played his cricket in Hyderabad in India. Yesterday I played a worldwide knock, really aggressive one. Today is a very different situation, has a lot of balls to face. So he'll have to bring all his guile and craft here to play and see through some of these challenging overs from the spinners before he can express himself. So a rather thin close-in field on the leg side, just a man behind square. And that was straight outside in front of the stumps. No questions asked. Even the appeal from Shehan was more around with the definition. It was not even an appeal, it was just an exult. That's a huge wicket for the Thunderbolts. Mehdi Hassan going away rather cheaply today. In fact, not even open his account. LBW, Shehan, Jayasuriya, and Jayasuriya, like yesterday, already in the thick of things, having a major impact here. So 28 for 4 in the 8th over. .28 for 4 in the 8th over. Precarious position for the Thunderbolts, and there's a lot on their mind, I'm sure. Lost 4 big scalps out here, and Shashwat Kohli joins Ian Chauhan in the middle. There's still some firepower in the tent for them, Rishi Bhardwaj and Captain Shadley Warren Shockwick. They have intentionally filled the team with a bunch of all-rounders, which is always handy, especially circumstances like these. And it's always believed that T20 is a sport where our format in which a good day for one player, maximum 2 players, can have a huge impact in changing the course of the game. So it's never over till it's over. But a lot to think about for Thunderbolts for sure. Shashwat Kohli is already off the mark. Oh, that's a strong shot towards leg side by Ian Chauhan. Flicked off his toes. Ball was up in the air, but there's no man's land in there. is playing with confidence. At the end of the over, after 8, it's 30 for 4. Srinivas Raghavan starts his third over. His figures 2 overs, 9 runs for 2 wickets. Jayasuriya has 2 overs, 1 maiden, 4 runs and 2 wickets. Spinners causing a lot of flutter in the Thunderbolts camp at this moment. Patience is a virtue in these conditions, especially the wicket is posing a lot of questions, and the team is trying to rebuild. This is a stage where you've got to mix aggression with patience and look at every opportunity to milk a single or two, and that's exactly what Ian did out there. Brings Shashwat Kohli, who again is very experienced, has got a fair amount of experience playing domestic cricket in India. Very new to the US cricket scene. Plays for Arunachal Pradesh, a state in India in the northeastern parts. And Ian Chauhan played cricket for Jammu and Kashmir in India. But Ian's been here in the scene, US cricket, for a couple of seasons now. Played a blistering 47 ball 80 last year in US Premier League. And that's hit up in the air. And that's cleared the cover boundary. Right on cue. He did that a lot in that 40 ball 80 that I was speaking about. And opening his arms, and the opportunity came at his doorstep. He didn't say no to that. A massive 6. And more than the massiveness of the 6, it's massively welcomed by the Thunderbolts, and their cheers from their dugouts was quite evident. It was a breath of respite for them. Once again, a switch hit. While the fielder tried to adjust, hoping they could grab, but the ball was clearly placed in the right areas and fetching them one more welcome boundary. Ian Chauhan clearly is not intimidated by the circumstances here. Like I said, made his intentions well and truly clear from the very first ball that he came in. He's got the capability to play these frenetic knocks, absolute blitzkrieks. And if you see out here, it's a 9 ball 19, 2 4s and a 6, strike rate of 211. He is making a statement for sure. We're having a bit of a stoppage here as the respective teams approach their players with a well-needed drinks break as the fielders try to retrieve the ball. One of the very few, probably the only disadvantage in such picturesque venues is that the closeness to nature sometimes leads to a sort of situation where we lose the ball for a while. But the good news is it's back, it's retrieved, and we should be having the play underway very soon. 42 for 4. 9th over. Yesterday, the Thunderbolts were 41 for 4 after 10. And they got to a score of 131. They'll be hoping a very similar recovery today. A very productive over. Still underway. One more ball to go here. Right then. And once again, a confident shot through the covers. Or as the fielder tries, valiant attempt. It's outside the boundary line. 4 runs. So a very, very productive over there for the Thunderbolts. As Ian Chauhan has upped the ante significantly there with a 6 and a couple of boundaries. The score is 46 for 4 at the end of 9. .46 for 4 after 9. Change in bowling as skipper Pranay Suri brings him on himself onto the attack. A very useful bowler, Pranay Suri. There was a gentle off spin coming into the batter. Shashwat Kohli plays it with deft hands, pushing it to the short, fine leg that's in position. A single. At this moment, Ian Chauhan seems to be playing on a completely different planet. He looks it in full control of what he's trying to do. Exudes immense amount of confidence, hitting the ball in the middle of the bat. There is absolutely no doubt in what he is trying to do. And Shashwat Kohli again, every time a batter tries something which is remotely similar to a sweep, it might cause a little bit of concern to the watchers, especially the supporters of Thunderbolts, because sweeping is fraught with immense amount of risk on this wicket. Once again, touch and go and push and run strategy. Ian Dev Chauhan looks supremely in control of the circumstance out here. There's a slight unwanted bounce after pitching. The unpredictability of the wicket continues. Shashwat Kohli had committed himself to a forward defence, but the ball pitched up more than what he expected, but no harm done, as now the field is much spread across on the fence mostly. It was an easy single there. Expertly negotiated that over. No harm done. 51 for 4 after 10. Srinivas Raghavan starting his 4th over. 3 overs, 25, 2 for 25. Had an expensive last over. And this time bowling slightly slower than what he did last over, which yielded a lot of runs. But Shashwat Kohli pushing the ball towards the cover point region. And fetches 2 as a result of an overthrow. That was played on the back foot very confidently towards the mid-wicket fence, and the fielder there, once again, not the best of fielding, rather sloppy, I would say, and fetches a 4, very, very welcome 4 for Shashwat Kohli. Runs like those can flip the confidence of the batter. I must say that Silicon Valley strikers probably have got themselves to blame yesterday and today. They have had a stranglehold on the circumstances. Only some very ordinary, rather ordinary fielding had led the opposition off the hook. Again, a drop of a catch today and a bunch of misfields, a few overthrows here and there have given easy singles and doubles, singles and twos to the batter. Once again, a very handy placement by Shashwat and good running between the wicket, aggressive running between the wicket, picks up 2 wickets, 2 runs in there. As I was speaking about, those fielding blemishes can haunt them at the end of the day. This is a game especially at this venue. It's a game of low margins and low totals. And every little effort on the field is going to create a massive difference. They need to pull up their socks out here. I'm sure that's on the back of their mind as well. The fielding has been an Achilles heel for them yesterday. They have a very competent slow bowling side, and they have a good bowler in Saurabh Netrawalkar. But fielding of that kind sort of pushes them back by a few steps. That was a nothing shot out there by Ian Chauhan. The ball was pitched way outside the off stump. He tried to hoik it. A nice ball there from Srinivas Raghavan, is last of his spell. A slow ball that gripped and turned and beat the batsman. So the end of the 11th over, it's 60 for 4. Pranay Suri starts his 2nd over. Thunderbolts have upped the ante. The last few overs have been very productive. They've got consistent runs.
Lovely. Well done, Pranay.
But we are fast approaching that situation where a couple of dot balls can get the batsman thinking a bit creatively. So 3 dot balls now in this over, and we'll see the batters trying to do something out of the ordinary there, and which can result in runs and also can result in their downfall. Well, this time, nicely played in a vacant front of the stumps on the leg side area, where the fielder from the deep mid-wicket boundary came in and cleaned up this whole thing. Just a single. A very strong breeze on the ground. I'm sure you're able to hear that. That's the tents flapping above me. Once again, a single by Ian. He was beaten all ends up there. He committed himself on the front foot. The ball was pitched intentionally a bit more shorter. He couldn't get it at the length that he was expecting it, but eventually covered it, got a single. That's been called wide. Let's say interesting call. Pranay seemed to have caught the length right in this over once again. A fielding miss, giving an easy extra run for the Thunderballs. End of the 12th over at 65 for 4. The start of the 13th over comes with a cheer for the Thunderbolts as Ian fetches yet another boundary. And we have a change in bowling as Arsh Butch is the new bowler. Once again, a short pitch ball, easy length, and played with disdain to the mid-wicket fence again. 4 runs. It appears the batters have clearly decided this is probably an opportunity for them to go after a new, probably not a more regular bowler, Arsh. Oh, that was a better length. Coming in slightly and played with more defense. I think first 2 balls were more looseness, to say the least. Short of length, sitting up, easy fetching for the batters to find the no man's land for a couple of easy boundaries. Busy player, Shashwat Kohli. Since the time he's come in, he has fetched easy runs, and then again, excellent running between the wicket. This time before the fielder could come in, which I thought was, again, one of those lackluster performances in the fielding. If they let the Thunderbolts go a little too far away from where they could have wanted them to, they have only themselves to blame out here, Silicon Valley. Their fielding is very, very ordinary here. The fielders are looking a tad lethargic. There have been misfields, there have been catches being dropped. Not what you expect to support the kind of bowling they have done since morning. "13 overs done, 76 for 4. The 14th over starting, Pranay Suri with his 3rd over to do the honors, and as it's lofted, nobody there, and that goes to the 3rd man fence for a well appreciated 4. Ian Dev Chauhan is probably his 4th or 5th attempt at playing a switch hit. He looks pretty comfortable doing that. Once again, the first ball of a new over going for a boundary, clearly putting the bowler under pressure. Pranay Suri would have already a flutter of thoughts in his mind how to curtail this surge that the boats have adopted last few overs. It's again pushed into the Waken mid-off region, picks up a single. This has been one incredible knock so far from Ian Chauhan. And Shashwat Kohli, no less, since the time he's come in, he's been in the thick of things, moving the needle, making sure that the momentum is kept up. Runs coming far at this point. And that looks ominous for the strikers. And that's once again a huge appeal. Very animated from the strikers, captain. Like I said a few times in this stint of my commentary, that this is playing a sweep shot on this wicket fraught with immense risk. Not the best shot to be played out here. You're better playing with straight bat. With that said, Ian Dev Chauhan has not only played a tried switch with his sweeps, but he's tried switch hits. Look at that. That ball bounced all the way up to his face. Rarely do you see a spinner's ball getting that sort of bounce, but that's the unpredictable bounce of this wicket. And this time it just sits up, and Shashwat plays his shot towards the square leg fence. Well done by the fielder there. End of another eventful over. It's 14 overs gone, 85 for 4. Fourteen overs, 85 for 4. The last 6, which are the death overs, and Saurabh Netravalkar is back in the attack. His first spell, 2 overs for 9 runs from Saurabh. Very experienced hand. Consistent wicket taker, included Major League Cricket. The strikers have 3 of them in their ranks. Saurabh Netravalkar, Shehan Jayasuriya, and Lahiru Milantha. That's played slightly agricultural shot, making rooms and getting out of the stumps, making a bit of a room and giving it a hoik, complete, throwing the kitchen sink at it. The outside edge takes it to the third man fence. No harm done whatsoever. But for all that effort, a single. The gloves are off, clearly, and there's some chances being taken the batters. Now that shot pitch, slightly late on the shot. Fortuitous, I would say. It hits high on his bat, but nobody close in at this point, at this stage of the game. Easy single. The Thunderbolts have just a solitary Major League Cricket presence in their skipper, Shatley, one shock wick. Oh, that was well bowled. Right outside the off stump. And a bit of a surprise bounce in there. And Ian Chauhan lets it go. Shehan Jayasuriya is a very familiar face for the Seattle cricket supporters. Played for the Seattle Orcas. Played a couple of very handy knocks. Bowled a few handy overs. Oh, that's well struck. That's a massive shot over the mid-wicket fence. 6 runs. This has been a rather emphatic innings from Ian Chauhan right from the ball one. He came in later than expected, and from the word go has been all about aggression and intent. Sometimes, as they say, the best counter-attack is offense. And Ian Chauhan believes in that particular motto, it appears. It's changed the complete tempo of this innings from Thunderbolts. They were tottering at a meager 20-something for 4. $28 for 4 when Mehdi Hassan got out. And from there they've gotten them to 93 for 4. And that's being lifted straight up in the air in the front. And that's going to be one hell of a catch. And yes, it is. Shehan Jayasuriya, he doesn't drop too many. And that's a massive, massive scalp. As the whirlwind knock of 47 comes to an end, Ian Chauhan. That's an incredible innings. Now he's done his job. Probably the team would have wanted him to stay for a little bit longer, but he certainly did his job from there. 47, 2 sixes, 6 fours, the strike rate of 174. Caught Shehan Jayasuriya, bowled Netravalkar. After 15 overs, Thunderbolts 93 for 5. $93 for 5 after 15. Thunderbolts have just lost their mainstay today, Ian Chauhan, for 46. Shehan Jayasuriya comes back into the attack. 2 overs, 2 for 4. It was quite baffling. Why did he take himself? Why was he taken off the attack when he was going very strong, picking up wickets? It sort of let the opposition in because while Srini Raghavan was also bowling well, it was Shehan Jayasuriya who put the brakes on the Thunderbolt. He was practically unplayable at that stage, so it was really baffling that they took him off the attack. And Thunderbolt piled up almost 65 runs from there on. Huge appeal. That was clearly visible. The ball pitched probably outside the leg stump, missing out. Jayasuriya still unhappy with the umpiring decision there. The only plausible reason that one can think of that Shehan was taken off the attack was to preserve him against left-handed batsmen, and I think the next left-hander in the side was Shadley won't shock because of who's at the crease at this point. And the moment he comes in, Jayasuriya has been brought back into the attack. He has a very well, he looks like a spinner. He has a pretty pacey ball outside the off stump for the left-handers. He bowls it wide of the crease with slightly slingy action, and it comes at a length which is very difficult for a left-hander to get to and get something out. Even here, for example, the ball's moving away. It's more of a fast off cutter that he's bowling. It's from the reaction of the wicket keeper. It's certainly not a spinner that's coming out. It's coming at a certain pace. That's clearly been the plan, I'm sure. He was preserved for a left-handed batters, and it will have its impact on the run rate. Oh, wonderfully bowled. Wonderfully bowled. A very useful over. At this stage, I think Shehan Jayasuriya is the bowler that they would love to just see through. 3 overs, 4 runs, 2 wickets again. Just 1 run on that over, 94 for 5 after 6. 60. Change of ends for Pranay Suri. As he starts the 17th over, 4 overs to go. 94 for 5. Pushed with some intent and very fast running there. Shadley is very quick between the stumps. Supremely fit. Extremely good runner with the wicket, and that was clearly manufactured. The second run was completely manufactured because of incredible running between the wicket. That's played up in the air, and that should be a chance. Unfortunately, not for the strikers. It falls rather short of the fielder from long on. A single to Shashwat. He's played a handy hand out here, Shashwat Kohli. Like I said, came in at 28 for 4 and stitched together an important partnership of 65 with Ian Chauhan. And that's an easy catch. Shadley clearly wanted to go big on that one. Ball spinning a little too much than expected. Takes the outside edge. And the short third man. It was an easy catch for them. So a second consecutive failure with the bat for skipper Shadley. But it's at that stage of the innings where you have to take your chances. That said, that was skipper versus skipper contest, and the striker skipper had the better of his Thunderbolts counterpart. 97 for 5. So Rishi Bhardwaj is the new player, new batter. Those who have followed the Thunderbolts journey last year would remember Rishi played a few very important hands, especially towards the back end of the tournament. And those were critical in winning a few important games. So he can certainly cause some damage here. And that's a straightforward catch. 2 and 2. Like I said, this is a stage where the batters have to go big, but they have to go with a plan. Clearly, this was a nothing short, but a very handy catch at the short mid-wicket position. One more wicket down against the run of play. Thunderbolts have lost three very quick wickets now. So from 93 for 4, they are now at 97 for 7. So the new batter in is Siva Kumar. It's a hat-trick ball for Pranay Suri here. That's played up in the air again, but there's no fielder there. The ball trickles down to the long on. A very, very useful over indeed. 98 for 7 after 17. So Pranay Suri finishing his spell, 4 overs, 2 for 21. Handy bowling by the skipper, but the real star here is Ishan Jayasuriya with 2 for 4 from his 3. Coming up with his last over here, Shehan. Shivakumar pushing that to the long off. And single. Still yet to touch the 100 mark here, the Thunderbolt. And with that wide, they would touch the landmark of 100. And that's again a sweep shot attempted. How many times have we seen that on this wicket? Plumb in front of the stumps. Jayasuriya picks up his 3rd wicket. Consecutive second day now. Shehan Jayasuriya has picked up 3 wickets out of his spell. But more importantly for Thunderbolts, that's the well-set Shashwat Kohli who walks back. 108 now. Strikers was fancy getting the opposition all out here. And Thunderbolts would hope if their last few batsmen can add a few more precious runs to their total. How good has been Shayan Jayasuriya? He bowls a hard ball for a spinner. Most of the time it's beaten for pace because he bowls that slightly unplayable length. The batters try to be a bit more creative. I would have imagined Thunderbolts would have tried to see him through and take chances against the other bowlers who would come. Shashwat had different ideas. 100 for 8 now. And the new batter in is Sanat Mishra. In normal circumstances, 101 for 8 would be a score one would clearly say is paltry and well short of the power mark. But I would dare not say so on this wicket because strikers got bowled out for 82 yesterday. So anything can happen here. It all depends upon how the bowlers come up and what kind of lengths did they bowl, and a couple of early wickets and the cat will be well and truly amongst the pigeons there. Putting runs on the board is always advantageous out here. Okay, that's a short pitch ball, well connected Shivakumar, and that's a boundary that would get a lot of cheer from the Thunderbolt dugout, quite rightly so. The last few overs, a boundary, and the last ball of Shayan Jayasuriya. Three for 11 from his four, Shayan Jayasuriya. Remarkable figures, practically changed the complexion of the game. Along with some of the other, and now the last couple of overs, Thunderbolts would hope they can utilize as much as possible. It's and that takes the outside edge. Did it? The batter almost made me think that all was good, but it was not so. It's taken the outside edge, and a good diving catch by Lahir, and that's the ninth for the Thunderbolt. 105 for 9. Will this survive their full tally of 20 overs here as the last pair he started solitary over for 11 runs. So 105 for 10 for all 105 all out Seattle Thunderbolts in 18.2 overs, and we'll connect back in a short while as the strikers start their chase of 106. It's going to be a fascinating game. Like I said, on this wicket, having on the board is always handy, and as we saw yesterday, have some very useful slow bowlers, and if they can a couple of wickets up top, is a three on Surya, Lahiru Milantha, Pranay Suri. If they can get a couple of those, clearly the cat will be amongst the pigeons. We will join to catch on the action and to check on how things. I predict fascinating context of it. Do join us in a short while. Thank you. is rolling his fingers over the seam, and that was a slow ball that he probably did not read accurately, and hence there was a mistime of a shot that seemed like a pretty short-pitched of a delivery hitting in the hitting arc, but because of a variance in the pace, it was mistimed, lobbed up, and an easy catch taken by the Thunderbolts fielder. So the new batsman is Shehan Jayasuriya. He's had a fantastic day so far with the ball. Now two left-handers at the crease and two very pivotal batters. Strikers would hope that this pair can see them through majority of this chase, if not the entirety of it. Oh, that kept low this time. That kept low against and beats everybody. The batter, the wicket keeper, signaled as a bye. Every time you think you've sorted this wicket out, it throws up another curve ball at you, and this time Shehan Jayasuriya threw everything at that ball, thinking, trusting the bounce of it, and there was a royal betrayal from the bounce, from the pitch. Kept low, and thankfully it was not on the stumps. Oh, that was bowled again into the leg stump. Played well, pushed towards the mid-on, and picks up a single. This is a game with such low totals. It's a game of discipline. The team that can do their basics correct, make sure that they don't make too many errors, would come up trumps. And that one, this time the ball bouncing up, contrary to the previous one that Shehan had faced, which kept woefully low. As time he plays it respectfully. At the end of 3, it's 8 for 1. Shivakumar all set for his second over. It's 3 overs, 1 for 8. Excellent start by Shadley. Warren Sharkwick, the skipper for Thunderbolts. 2 overs, 1 for 2. He's definitely given them the direction that he would like his team, the intensity with which he would like the team to play with, the accuracy with which he wants his bowlers to bowl. Certainly led them from the front with an example. And that's played through the gaps, through the covers, and brisk running by the two batters. And they've probably played a lot of cricket together, Lahiru and Shehan. Excellent understanding and completing 2 brisk runs. We've said that enough times today during the commentary that we'll see a lot of pushes and dabs here in this wicket. There's going to be a lot of running between the wickets instead of boundaries, and that was a very that beat the batsman and somehow ricocheted from the gloves of the wicketkeeper Ian Chauhan onto the stumps, and there was a question asked to the square leg umpire about a stumping. Answered in the negative. No damage done to the strikers. And it's pushed once again. A very tight single. And this time an unnecessary throw, I would say. Of course, fielders, when they take a chance like that, they're trying for something where they see there's a glimmer of hope. It came at an awkward height, an awkward angle to the fielder backing at the end, and that results in a 4 overthrow. Now that's very crucial. 4 runs that comes in. I mean, this stage, every single stopped, every run that does not happen adds to the pressure, and an overthrow is a blessing in disguise. Relieves the pressure a bit, and I would say every time the batters have to take a risk and they're aggressive running the wicket between the wicket, it creates chances like that. And this time on the leg side, trickles of the pad. Once again, the batters are putting pressure on the fielders. Shadley does the fielding. Shadley was the culprit in the previous throw where he thought there was a chance, and hurled the throw at the bowler's end, which beat everybody, including the backup fielder, for a boundary. A couple of runs for Shehan. So it's been a very productive over so far. That's the end of the over, and it's 18 for 1. So the end of 4 overs, it's 18 for 1. Sanat Shehan, I beg your pardon, Sanat Jayasuriya comes to the mind whenever we think about the name Jayasuriya. It's Shehan Jayasuriya and Lahiru Milanta. They have demonstrated some urgency in their running between the wicket, which has resulted in the fielders feeling the pressure, taking a few chances with their throws, and that got them a few extra runs. So they've certainly got a plan here. They're going to run hard. They're going to put pressure as the new bowler, the under-19 player Sanat Mishra, comes into account. Once again, drops the ball very close to him, Lahiru Milantha, and the batters cross for a very easy single. It's such a breath of fresh air in this format where the general belief is to go big, to have more audacious, innovative strokes being played, to find a couple of batters do things with the basics, which is playing with straight bat, pushing the ball towards the infield, into the gaps, picking up singles, something that is more traditional in nature, and from the book of the more longer formats of this game. It's good to see, and sometimes these low totals gives us the pleasure of seeing these kind of little cat and mouse contests that comes up with more traditional approach. And these two batters, they know how to play the traditional format of the game, although they're pretty good at adopting and embracing the T20 needs as well. But if the need is to play with more patience, apply themselves, and bat out the condition, bat out the bowler, bat out time, they know how to do it. And strikers have probably the best personnel at the moment doing it for them. Once again, outside the leg stump, just trickled it down towards much finer behind the wicket keeper as the fine leg fielder cleans it up. That's another single. So runs coming along pretty consistently, and they're doing it very well. They're not letting too many dot balls go by, which is good. Not the best line. It was on the leg stump and deftly sort of turned off his legs by Shehan for a couple of runs. Sanat Mishra, a young player coming up through the ranks. And that was steered down to the third man, an absolute deft touch, and the ball trickles down the boundary line as the fielder chases in vain. That's a Shehan Jayasuriya classic. There was experience written all over it. Waited for the ball and just opened the face of the bat, steering it down the third man to get the maximum, or at least high value from that stroke. 27 for 1 after 5. The run rate has kicked up to 5.4. They were in the high threes and fours and thereabouts, but these two have certainly done things with a fair degree of intent. Last couple of overs. The over from Sanat Mishra was productive for the strikers. They picked up 9 runs from that over. And Shiva Kumar's second over also produced a few runs. So they've got themselves going out here, the strikers. And Rishi Bhardwaj is the new bowler from the far end. Rishi is a very, very experienced operator. Comes with a bit of mystery. Has a bit of Sunil Narayan to his bowling. Hides the ball behind himself and exposes it just at the last moment. But that was a nothing ball in terms of length. It was a fairly short off length, gave enough time for the batter to adjust and play it in the gap. There's a massive gap on the leg side. Yeah, that was on the offside slightly, and a better ball there. Bit of mystery. The ball trickles down again towards the square leg. From the outside edge of the batter. If ever there was a thing called as a moral victory, the bowler would have probably gained a bit of that. But still the run to strikers, and this time it was a shorter ball for Shehan Jayasuriya to make room and play towards the cover point region. No damage done. things looking comfortable here for the strikers, and one would hope so that they would depend on, they would feel this pair takes them to a very comfortable position, and suddenly, because there's a lot of pressure exerted and there's some initiative taken by the two batters in terms of running between the wicket, all of a sudden the more impeccable fielding unit of Thunderbolts are starting to show some cracks. A few overthrows coming along, misfields. It's again a shorter ball, keeping a bit low, but Shehan was all had it covered towards square leg again, an easy single. So far, the slower bowlers, Rishi is probably the first spinner of a few that we will see from the Thunderbolts. Hasn't asked any question that is unanswerable. I think both the batters have had a respectful answer, and that brings the end to the power play for the strikers, and they have finished the power play with 33 for 1. Another bowling change, and this time it's Mehdi Hassan again. He had a successful outing yesterday with the ball. 2 wickets. Interesting to see what he would have up his sleeves today, for what kind of questions he would pose for the strikers' batters. There's a bit of turn, but that turns across the batter, and quite rightly pointed out as wide by the umpire. Thunderbolts would need to tighten their overall game out here if they have to get back into the contest. Once again, overthrows. An extra run conceded there. Things looking a bit flat for the Thunderbolts. They're feeling over the last few overs since, and that's the beauty of this sport. If you take initiative and chances, you can cause some changes to be made. And that was right in the front, hits the pad. Not too much of, the batsman didn't know much about the ball. It was just a swipe at the ball. It hits the pad. Fortunately for the batter, it had a bounce, which could probably take it over the stumps, and also it was missing the leg stump. No damage done. A single, nevertheless, for the strikers. Wonderfully played, that shot. It's a late cut, or a late dab, one would call it. Placed wonderfully in the absolute no man's land, a gap between the third man and deep point, and picks up easy two. And that's very classic Lahiru Milantha. You won't see too many expansive, big, audacious strokes from him. He would be a touch player, but he nevertheless would play at a fairly tight clip. He's 17 of 14. He's playing at a strike rate of 121. That's the utility. You would never feel that he's gone. He's still yet to score a boundary, but he's maintaining a strike rate that should be enough for them to reach the target. Yeah, so it's a very useful batting here from Lahiru Milantha. In fact, he's probably telling everyone on both sides how to play in this wicket. Chancing your arms to get too many big shots or trying too many unnecessarily expansive shots can cause your downfall. But if you can play just the merit of the ball, and this time Shahan George Surya comes out of the wicket, and that's dispatched. Now he takes a bit of a chance, comes out of the wicket. It was a bit of a hoik on the leg side. Thunderbolts team would have thought probably it's heading towards a fielder directly for a catch, but no, it went across the boundary line for another 4. So end of the 7th over, it's 43 for 1. So bowling change is coming thick and fast for Thunderballs. The next, they have another change. This time it's Dilpreet Bajwa, DP Bajwa, not DP Singh, or just DP. Thunderbolts trying everything that they can at this point of time, but nothing seems to be working for the moment. That was a good ball. Ball with a slight loop. And every time we have seen that, the wicket has responded with some turn. Bowling with a slip. Rightly so, the amount of turn he got from the first ball. It's probably a right call to keep a slip here. Oh, this time it was short. And right above the short cover position, emphatically driven out of the boundary for 4. Fantastic, fantastic shot. Again, contrary, or rather contrary to the previous delivery, this one was slightly shorter, and the batter was well in position to play it over the fielder in the covers, who was running a short mid-off, probably slightly wider mid-off position. This time the ball taking a bit of a bounce, turning a bit, and Lahiru checking his shot at the last moment. The Thunderbolts are they're chasing the ball a bit at this point of time. And once again, over the covers, emphatically driven, played in the air intentionally because there's no fielder behind there, and there's a massive gap. If you play it above the close-in field, there's a lot of value to be gotten there. In fact, suddenly Lahiru Milantha has exploded. Like I said in the previous over, he was doing his business without any boundaries, and suddenly he has had 2 in 3 balls. Once again, a ball that pitches and spins a little more. Every time he's pitched a little full, he's got Lahiru reaching out and beating him beating the outside edge. But the problem has been he's pitched the next ball shorter, and that's given Lahiru an opportunity to score some runs. And this time again, it was a bit fuller. A trickle on the leg side towards mid-wicket as the batter wants to take it on. Good fielding there. No runs at the end of 8. It's 52 for 1. Things are looking rather easy here at this point. 12 overs, 54 runs to win the game, with 9 wickets in the tank. It looks pretty cut and dry for the strikers. Unless something dramatically goes wrong from here, they have this game covered for all the money. Mehdi Hassan starting his second. And that one's coming in after pitching. Huge appeal by Mehdi Hassan. It was almost a drastic plead. The umpire unmoved. It looked pretty adjacent to the stumps though. But then we are not sitting exactly behind the umpire. We are slightly at an angle. It might seem like it's coming on the stumps. But from that, it did not convince the person who mattered the most. So all good for strikers at this moment. No damage done. A lovely sweep. Just made a sweep on the bat. Fielded on the boundary, a couple of runs again to the batters. Strikers are doing it very easily at the moment. $54 for 1. Oh, that was wonderfully bowled. An arm ball. Just pitched and went with the arm, missing the batsman and beating the batsman's outside edge. Shehan playing it for it to come in, but it left him. No damage done. It was right outside the off stump though. On the stump, so that if the batsman does get beaten, there's a chance of clipping the stumps. Again, wonderfully bowled, but Shehan is an experienced hand. A single and scoreboard keeps moving up. The Thunderbolts would want something really dramatic to happen here. Maybe a clump of wickets falling in clumps, maybe 2 or 3, for them to get back into the game. Already bowlers so far. It's already the 9th over in progress, and they've tried 6 bowlers. So they're trying a bit of a desperate attempt here to see if they can get somebody who can do something out of the ordinary that could get them a couple of wickets. Once again, it's a typical play that we've been seeing these two batters, especially Lahiru Milantha. Just deftly touched and placed between that little gap that they have between the wicketkeeper and the third man. End of the over, it's 59 for 1. So 47 needed from 11 overs. That as an asking rate is pretty pedestrian from here on, unless the way the two batters are batting with, they have everything in control. They're not taking any undue risk. They're definitely cashing on the bad balls, but more importantly, they are not letting the good balls go by. They have been putting pressure on the good balls to pick up singles. In some cases, even putting pressure on the fielders to turn ones into twos, and that's made this Thunderbolts fielding side, which has been pretty solid yesterday, look a bit brittle today. And also the bowlers, like I said, they've tried 6 of them. Bowlers have sort of sprayed a little in terms of their line length. Now the deft touch this time to the third man. Shehan, a single picked up. The score moves on. They've touched 60 now. Lahiru Milantha is on 30 from 24, 3 fours, and Shehan is 19 from 18. And this kind of a chase is right up the alley of these two batters. They can bat throughout the day in this sort of format. And the only way they could have probably had them under pressure was blocking some of the singles and pushing them to take some risks. At this point of time, their risk taking is almost negligible. They're batting it, they're doing it nicely with absolutely no outrageous shots being played. And in fact, the Thunderbolts haven't been able to apply sustained pressure on them. And this time it was a touch fuller from Sanat Mishra, and Shehan Jayasuriya had it all covered. A nice drive into the gap, wide of the long off, gets another boundary. And the score is galloping at this moment. It's 66 for 1. At this rate, we are things to be finished very early. The general sentiment was it's a bit of a in-between score, and it can pose a few tricky questions if they lose a couple of early wickets. But I think they did lose a wicket. They lost their skipper Pranay Suri a bit early. But these two international cricketers have done it exceptionally well. They've batted with some authority. They have chosen the balls in which they want to attack very judiciously, and most importantly, they have not relented. They have not let their intensity go down. They've ran hard. They've picked up ones and twos with certain regularity, and that's created a whole lot of chances in the field. They have Thunderbolts have learned a good amount of. They're learning a good amount of lesson as we talk. This is a new looks Thunderbolt side, though they are the defending champion. But there's a lot of new players in the side, younger players, and they're certainly going to pick up a thread or two from this particular experience on how to play with some of the big guns. It's again Sanat Mishra spraying down the leg side, another wide. Flicked off the legs. Lovely wrists out there from Shahan. Timed it wonderfully as the ball trickled down to the square leg. There's a bit of a sizable set of spectators in the ground today. There's a lot of positives that they have witnessed over the last year or so from a Seattle cricket perspective. The interest levels are high. Thunderbolts winning the title last year in the minor league. The Orcas finishing as runners-up earlier this year in the major league, being termed as a team of the tournament. So all of a sudden Seattle is up in the cricketing top of mind as far as United States cricket is concerned, as Shehan Jayasuriya pushes one more towards the square on the offside and picks up an easy 2. So end of another over, it's 71 for 1 at the end of 10. So Rahul Nama is the next bowler. 7th bowler that Thunderbolts have tried today. Nothing seems to have worked out for them so far, as the batsmen have read them pretty well and have taken the chances that they have to give them. That's going up in the air and the ball is kicked up and has been given out. The batter doesn't seem to really agree with that because he thinks it probably did not touch the paraphernalia that would give him out. It probably went off his body or forearm or something like that. But the ball really lobbed up for the easy catch for a wicket keeper. So against a run of play, strikers lose a wicket. So it is Rahul Nama who gets a breakthrough for Thunderbolts, and one would probably not be penalized to even think that horse might be already bolted, but funny things can happen in this sport, and it was the top scorer so far, Lahiro Milantha, who lost his wicket. Shehan Jasuria still at the wicket, and the new batter is Rahul Jariwala. Rahul Jariwala. He was the opener yesterday, got a tonk in his helmet and never looked the same after that. Lost his wicket after a while, but he's coming as the number 4 batter today. Again, the unpredictable bounce of the wicket causing some concern. The Thunderbolts are on the attack. They've got 2 slips to Rahul, and so it's 2 Rahuls in there. Rahul the bowler, Rahul Nama, and Rahul Jariwala the batter. So Rahul to Rahul. There's going to be a few shouts of Rahul from both the camps. Oh, that's lovely bowling there by Rahul Nama, bowling a little full, dragging the batsman outside to play front, fielding of his own delivery. Everything going a little traditional out there at this point of time. But clearly the Thunderbolts want to apply some pressure on the new batter. They certainly are looking for some quick breakthroughs, a few. And this time it was a little tantalizing ball that pitched and turned, and the batter didn't go and chase it. A good over, a productive over for the Thunderbolts. 11 gone, 71 for 2. So Rahul Nama bowling a maiden over, a maiden wicket, and that was handy at this stage. With 9 overs to go and 45 to get. A maiden over is always welcome. Rishi Bhardwaj is back in attack. His first over went for 6. It's 71 for 2 as he bowls to Shehan Jasuria. Again, that characteristic Shehan Jasuria flick of supple wrists. He's a wristy player. Shehan just gets a lot of value from anything that's bowled at him. It's a delight to watch him, and a well-set Shehan Jasuria can be a delight to watch. I played a very handy 40 last year when these two teams played here at the same venue, and that 40 was a pivotal score. It was again a very low-scoring affair. The strikers batted first, and Shehan played a handy 40. In fact, he had a very, very good minor league last year, finishing as the top scoring batter on the leaderboard of the entire competition. So he knows a thing or two about this craft of batting, and he's showing it here as he's doing it with a certain degree of ease and in some cases disdain. Thunderbolts be hoping their senior pro Rishi Bhardwaj can deliver a couple of surprises and wickets for them. It would be super handy if we can get Shehan Jayasuriya out at this stage. Still a slip in place. Oh, that's a sweep shot, and the batters are again looking for two. Wonderful running between the wicket, and that's been one of the highlights of this innings from the strikers. They have not let the scoreboard pressure, the run rate pressure get to them, because they've been running exceptionally well. That's dug out from. That ball came in slightly more fuller, dug out towards the offside. Well fielded by the cover fielder. At the end of 12, it's 75 for 2. Eight overs, 41 to get. Rahul Nama starting his second over. And there's some frantic changes in the field. As the umpire is ensuring there's a requisite number of fielders inside the inner circle. That was wonderfully bowled again. With the arm, the ball left the batter gently. And that's played up in the air. And that should be an easy catch in the cover. So things starting to happen, albeit too lately, a bit late for Thunderbolts, but nevertheless they are happening. They've got a couple of wickets, and there's still about 41 runs to get. Rahul Jariwala not making too much of a contribution to this total. Out for 1, and it's 75 for 3. $75 for 3, and this is the 13th over in progress. The new batter in is Ravindra Paul Singh. Huge responsibility on Shehan Jayasuriya, the more experienced pro for this team, to see it through for them. This is a game, as I mentioned prior, that it's a game of thin margins. And situations like this, if it slides, can pose a slightly tricky situation. I would still say Nothing much to worry about for strikers. They've got the things under control. They've done a lot of hard work to get a score to a fairly comfortable place. And for Thunderbolts, they would have to have other bowlers other than Rahul Nama who could step up and provide some support. At this point, it's him who's doing the majority of the damage. Once again, that was a ball that slid past the batter, slightly down the leg side, rightly called as wide. And this is the first run of the bowling of Rahul. And that's an extra. Extras have been busy today. And that's out. It's wonderfully taken. A lovely catch off his own bowling. Rahul Nama, he can do no wrong. It's wicket number 3 for him, and he's not even done his second over fully yet. And against the run of play, the strikers are 4 wickets down for 76. Are we seeing some pressure here? Are we seeing some harakiri being committed? And too early to say, as Gary Graham walks in. 40 still to get. And Rahul Nama, he's got magical numbers. 3 for 1. He's got 3 wickets for just 1 run. He's not even fully completed his second over. Thunderbolts desperately wanted one of their slower bowlers to come to the party, and Rahul Nama has answered that call remarkably. That was a fantastic catch. Always a difficult one to hold one in your own bowling, but then again, bowlers around the world would tell you if ever they wanted somebody to take a catch of their bowling, they would trust themselves the most. So in here, the catch came back, and Rahul did no mistake to grab that. The game nicely poised here. Now Gary's off the mark right at the first ball. And that's the first runs off the bat in Rahul's against Rahul. I'm sitting next to the striker's dugout, and I can sense a certain. Things have gone a little quieter there. Sense a sense of little tension, but they won't have to worry till Shehan Jayasuriya is in the middle. He's someone who has been in situations like this and has the game, has the composure, has the experience to see it all through. And he's facing Rahul Nama for the first time. He's bowled very well, Rahul. He's certainly bowled the right lengths. He's bowled the right variations. He's got a few to bounce up and a couple of them to come in. Now it's time again. That was played again and didn't give the single to Shehan Jayasuriya. So that's the end of the 13th. It's 77 for 4. I beg your pardon. Apologies for the wrong mathematics out there. When I said the team needed about 41 runs, they actually needed 31. So it's 29 to get now, and 7 overs, a little over 4 asking rate. Not too much to worry about there, but they would hope things to go without much of an incident out here. Mehdi Hassan is back in the attack. All of a sudden, the ball is moving. It's pitching the right lengths. It's getting a grip on it, and newer batters will certainly have a lot to handle here. So there is some opportunity there for the Thunderbolt bowlers. Oh, that's an expansive shot, and that's a wonderful catch on the boundary line. It was hit with some intent by Gary. It was a switch hit, a reverse sweep that almost was meant to go outside the boundary line. It had 6 written all over it, but that man Jagrup Prem, he's taken a few blinders on the boundary line over the years, and adds one more to that clause. So the wickets keep falling as things getting a little uncomfortable here for the strikers, I must say. There's still 29 to scale, 77 for 5 now. What an incredibly fantastic catch that was from Jagrup. Reminds me of a catch he took 2 seasons back, a very similar one, and this time that we were playing at the Madimore at that time. It was a pretty rough stretch of the ground, and then he covered some ground and picked up the catch. And this one was reminiscent of that one. When field placement, the angles were sorted out pretty well. There was just one lone fielder in that boundary, and that reverse sweep caught that person. And Jagrup did move a little bit, not too much. It was a high precision field placement there. So Mehdi Hassan picking up a wicket, and suddenly the left arm spinner is doing the job here. 1 or 2 more wickets. I tell you, this contest is going to get very, very interesting. I would love to be a little birdie in the minds of Shehan Jaiswal to know what's happening there. Saurabh Netrawalkar, he is the new batsman. Two slips there. The Thunderbolts are pressing in. Oh, that one again. The ball skidded onto the batter. Oh, that's played very well. Played late, and that's running down to the boundary line for 4. That's most opportune moment. There was a bit of a stranglehold that the Thunderbolt had put on the strikers. Runs had dried up. They had started losing wicket, but that 4 sort of eases out a lot of pressure. 82 for 5 at the end of 14 overs, and there is still 24 to get to win the game. Rahul Nama starting his 3rd over. There's 2 overs, 3 for 2. Absolutely magical figures there. 81 for 5 as strikers. 25 more to get. It's a runnable story from here on, or rather not actually. It's 35 balls, 24 runs to get. Almost every ball is an event at this point of time, especially when Rahul is bowling. There is a sense of anticipation, suspense, and a little bit of excitement. That was again perilously close to the stumps, and Saurabh tried to play it very late. That could have easily slipped through underneath the bat, dislodging everything, the furniture behind him. Once again, I'm not sure it's the best way to play it, but so far it's working for Saurabh. He's able to keep the ball away from the stumps. Oh, that's played very well, and the plans really worked. He's played again late this time on the ground, picking up a single. Singleton in the over. It's 84 for 5 after 15. So after 15, it's 84 for 5. 22 more to get in the 5 overs. Shadley is back. He's bowled 2. 1 for 2. Extremely economical. And if ever there's a time where inspiration would be needed from him, it's probably now. These 2 overs, if he can do some damage to the opposition, that would be the best possible thing that he could do to get an improbable, at this stage I say improbable because that's the way it looks like, an improbable win. That would set the Thunderbolts journey up nicely for the rest of the season. That was that was perilously close to the stump. A fault shot, Nearly beaten all ends up. Was fortunate enough to get an inside edge and not play it onto the stumps. It's not been the most emphatic innings that we have seen from Shehan, but that's the way he plays. He preserves his wicket. He's doing the job, 33 of 33, holding an end up, and his presence in the middle is going to be a huge boost of confidence for the rest of the batters. Oh, that was up in the air as Saurabh didn't move his feet, just went with his hands. And the fielder on short cover is just probably an inch shorter than what the requisite height for that catch. It just eluded the fielder by a couple of inches, if not lesser. One would say that was a difficult chance, but chance nevertheless. There's amazing amount of quietness around the ground. It's a bit of a tense situation out there. 20 runs to get, and sometimes 20 runs can seem like 50, 60 runs in situations like this, especially when a few wickets have fallen in clump. That's steered again by Shehan down to the third man fence, single. And that's the end of the over. It's after 16. It's 87 for 5. So Rahul Nama, in for his last over, has easily been the standout bowler, if not just for Seattle Thunderbolts, but across both the teams. 3 overs, 5 runs, 3 wickets. It's changed the complexion of this chase, which was getting pretty unidirectional. He's brought that back to some degree of hope for the Thunderbolts, and that was outside the leg stump. Quite an easy decision for the umpire. What a wide. 18 more to get for the strikers. That's a chance of run out there. Saurabh Netravalkar backing up quite deep. Had to really scamper his way back into the crease. Shehan Jayasuriya was in no mood of taking a single there, really. He made it pretty clear very early after playing the shot itself that he's not moving anywhere. I'm sure he's got it all figured out from here. His partners have to believe and work with him on that plan. That was an expansive shot, and probably even the experience of Shehan could feel the pressure of the situation. Although there's not much to really feel pressurized about. The run rate isn't something astronomical. It's fairly manageable, but he did try something. He did see an opportunity there. Once again tries, and that's a huge shot, and an absolutely emphatic one over the boundary. That's maximum. I think that releases a lot of pressure, if at all there was any, from the strikers' minds, especially for the batters who are ready to come in for the next. If they do have to come in, 94 for 5 at this stage, 12 more runs to get. First boundary conceded by Rahul. And once again, smashed through the covers. And now I think Shehan Jayasuriya is seeing it as a massive football now, because he's just going about giving some finishing touches to the game. .98 for 5. Once again taking the bull by the horns there, and the fielder can't cut it off. 3 very emphatic shots is sort of completely deflated for the pressure, if at all there was any. 14 runs being taken, and now it's well past 100. It's 102 for 5. Just 4 more runs to win this game. And that's the last ball of Rahul Nama. A very uncharacteristic reverse sweep tried by Shehan Jayasuriya, and ball hitting his hind legs, and the umpire has given it out. Jayasuriya is asking a question to the umpire. He's probably hit his gloves. But the umpire has given the decision, which probably is the final one. Which is the final one, in fact. And well, this game keeps giving us surprises every minute. Like I said, there's an event happening everywhere. I guess by now the horse is bolted for the strikers. It's after 17 overs, 102 for 6. Shehan Jayasuriya returns back after a valiant 48 out of 41. Clearly not happy, not impressed by that decision at all. He thought it was the bat. The umpire thought otherwise. End of the over, and I must call out Rahul Nama. A fantastic 4 overs. 4 overs, 4 for 20. He gets a bit of a tap in that last over, but had 4 wickets to his name. Mehdi Hassan coming up with his last over, and just 4 to get at this point, and Arsh Butch is the next batter. Shouldn't be too much of a surprise from here. 3 overs to go with 4 runs to get. Off the mark, Arsh Butch picks up a single. That's one more dismissal out there. Just keeps getting interesting by the ball here. Mehdi Hassan picks up a wicket. Arsh Butch is caught by Shadley, and the strikers lose their 7th wicket. Do I see an improbable, a miraculous victory for Thunderbolts here? That's too much of an ambitious statement to make. I still feel that strikers have it covered as Srinivas Raghavan walks in as the new batter. And Mehdi Hassan has picked up 2 wickets again. I mean, it adds to his tally. He's emerging as one of the consistent wicket takers for his team. The last ball action almost happened in slow motion, and it was difficult to even figure out that there was a wicket that fell there. 2 slips in play. Thunderbolts exerting some pressure. They still feel they can probably put the tail enders in some degree of pressure. Yeah, that was nicely pushed again, the mid wicket. 2 runs to get after this. $104 for 7. So Arbnit Rawalkar has been in the wicket for a while. He scored 7 of 10, so he's a bit set. It's a game of attrition out here, seeing the good ones through, waiting for one opportunity where they could take the chance and do the finishing touches. And that was a chance back to Rahul, back to Mehdi Hassan, I beg your pardon. A fairly straightforward chance. That would have certainly put the cat amongst the pigeons big time for the strikers. Huge respite. 8 wickets down at this stage would have certainly added some additional butterflies in the stomach. But that was a catch drop by Mehdi Hassan. precariously close against his stumps, as he's been doing all the while. Saurabh tries another wild swish outside the off stump by exposing his entire stumps, but luckily for him the ball missing it all. End of the over after 18 is 104 for 7. Shadley with his last overs, 1 for 5 from his 3. It's certainly been economical for sure, but I guess his team would have wanted a few wickets from him. Could it be this over? And that's nicely pushed. Pushed down to the third man. That equals both the scores. The scores are level, so there's nobody loses the game from here for sure. The way strikers were going, they lost the first wicket at 6, and they had a 65-run partnership between Lahiru Milantha and Shehan Jayasuriya. The second wicket fell at 71, but then lost the 3, and now they're just a short, 1 run short of victory. And that's it. They push it and take a single. And that's the end of the game. It has its own ups and downs. At the end of the day, one would feel it was not the easiest of chases, but still at no stage it looked like the strikers were too much of a bother. They would definitely go back and reflect if they could have avoided some of those wickets, and they could have done it a little more easily. But they would certainly feel happy to finish this double-header weekend with a win apiece, and not go back from here with 2 defeats. So nicely set up. Looking back at the scorecard, it boiled down to those 2 stalwarts in their side. Lahiru Milantha scoring 32 of 28, Shehan Jayasuriya 48 for 41. If not for those 2 innings, this innings would have been in a tremendous spot of bother. For the Thunderbolts, it was Rahul Nama who came in towards the later half of the innings, bowled 4 overs for 20 runs and 4 wickets. He really brought the contest back into some degree of reckoning. Otherwise, it was going rather one-sided towards the strikers. And Mehdi Hasan continues his wicket hunt, 2 for 23, and Shadley picking up 1 for 7. All in all, Thunderbolts would definitely go back and reflect how and what they could do differently. Some of their bowlers were quite ineffective. In fact, they did let the 2 Sri Lankan batters batting in the strikers' ranks with some easy runs. The fielding came into a bit of scrutiny. They looked a bit brittle. A catch or 2 went begging. A lot of overthrows that were thrown. What seemed like a high intensity, but it was a little too late for them to then pull things back. So at the end of the day, the match proceeding stands like this. It's 105. Seattle Thunderbolts scoring 105 when they batted. The challenge today was really not their bowling. It was that they fell at least 20 to 30 runs short when they batted. They would have wanted it around about that 130 to 135 runs. And I'm sure that kind of score would have put a whole lot of pressure on the strikers. with the eventual scores at which we have finished the game. So this double-header weekend comes to an end. It's one apiece to Seattle Thunderbolts and Seattle and Silicon Valley Strikers. The Thunderbolts play the next set of home games on the weekend of 26th of September of August. I beg your pardon. And we will be back once again to tell you everything that happens here. The 26th of August is also going to be the community day here, so all the Seattle Thunderbolt supporters in the region, huge invitation to all of you. Please try and be here, be part of the fervor as the team continues their journey of defending their title from last year. It would be nice to see a sizable amount of their supporters coming in participating all the community events that happen on that day. Till then, it was a pleasure bringing the event as it unfolded today, and hoping to connect with you the next time. Thank you so much.